what is going to happen, like guys, we are going to start with the topic, okay, from clinical psychology or abnormal psychology. Okay, we'll take it up for in the first half of the demo class. After that, we'll take up questions, okay, regarding the topic, and then also regarding what is the teaching procedure. Okay, and I'll also give you an insight into how we take up different topics, how we teach, how is the course material designed, how it is provided to you, what about the mock test, what about the interview preparation, everything, anything to everything regarding the queries of MPhil. Okay, so the topic which I had selected today, the topic which I've selected today for today's demo class is mood disorders. Okay, now a reason being, what happens is all of you are there on social media, at least most of you, and you guys have been seeing a lot of people, giving you knowledge, giving us knowledge about mood disorders, about depression specifically during the COVID times. And sometimes all the knowledge provided on these social media platforms is not true, not original. Okay, and not also provided by the authentic people. So whenever you look for knowledge here and there, and make sure these are provided by authentic people, provided by RCI qualified professionals. So just to clear that, confusion regarding all, because many of you have already formed a lot of notions because of these influences and all. Okay, so we'll just start with the mood disorders today. Okay. Okay, you can see my screen. The PPT is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Chalo.
Yes.
Okay. Now, mood disorders, okay? Okay. So, one of the very basic divisions and one of the other clinical jargons or terms which you will have to learn is to differentiate between affect and mood. Okay. Also, this is one of the very frequently asked questions in MPhil interview. Okay. It will also be asked while you are in your MPhil tenure. So what happens is there are two things. Number one is affect with the A, okay? Affect, and number two is mood. Now affect is very short-lived. Okay, you might want to write another definition for affect. So you can say that affect is a short-lived cross-sectional emotional response. Affect is a short-lived, cross-sectional emotional response to an idea, event, or situation. To an idea, event, or situation. Do you want me to repeat that? Do you want me to repeat that, guys? Any one of you? Okay. Tenzing, could you repeat the definition for all of us in case you're comfortable? Or anyone who can use their mic, can you repeat that definition?
Ma'am, so when we talk about affect, it is something short-lived, whereas mood is something sustained and pervasive.
Yeah. So affect is something short-lived, which is a cross-sectional response to an idea or event. Thank you, Tenzing. On the contrary, mood is something which is sustained and pervasive in nature. So why are we talking about these differences here? What happens is when you get a client, okay, suppose you get a client and you are doing the mental status examination. The client might be, diagnosed later with mild depression, moderate depression, whatsoever, okay, somewhere in the depression criteria. But the current effect, the current cross-sectional response of the client during the whole mental status examination might not always be depressed or sad. There are other effects which you also get for, depression, which is typically irritability. Okay, these kinds of effect you also get for depression. So what happens? This helps you later, understand the mental, the clinical picture, and also plan your treatment goals accordingly. So affect and mood, both the things are required during the mental status examination. Okay. So majorly affect is what the clinician notices. Affect is very short. The short cross sectional behavior, the cross sectional things which you notice during the clinical interview. So that is affect. That you need to mostly that you need to fill up for the client. Okay. Mood is on the other hand when you ask the client how have been they feeling. Okay, how are they doing? That response is noted down for mood. Affect is your objective understanding, and mood is the client's subjective input they give regarding their emotional condition all throughout they have been, and why have they exactly come there. So is this difference between affect and mood clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Anyone has any doubt regarding it? After that, we can proceed, let's, because this will be built on a difficulty level. So these parts should be clear. Around 21 students online. So assuming it's clear to everyone, I'm going ahead, okay? Now, mood disorders typically is divided into two major divisions, depression and mania, okay? Now, if I consider a pole, so if there is a pole, if there is a stretched pole in front of me, so there are two extremes. Number one extreme to my left is depression. The extreme to my right is mania. And somewhere in the center are the healthy individuals who are in this euthymic state. Okay, that state is known as euthymic. I'll just type it in the chat box. So the healthy individuals are in the euthymic state. On one side are individuals who undergo depression. On the other side are individuals who have elevated mood more than required. Okay, so that more than required elevated mood individuals, they fall in the mania category. So in center are the healthy individuals who are in the euthymic state. I've typed the spelling in the chat box. Please go through it. I'll just give you some historical inputs as well in the chat box that could qualify for your MCQs. Okay. So the term mania was coined by Hippocrates. So Hippocrates coined the term mania and melancholia. So initially, when we talk about the history of schizophrenia or we talk about the history of psychiatric illnesses, there was no major division. Okay, so things started from dementia precox. So there was a major thing in the history of schizophrenia, dementia precox. Okay, so things started from there. Now, Emil Kraepelin was the person who said that manic depressive illnesses are separate from dementia precox. Okay, dementia precox is the beginning of the history, the core of schizophrenia. So I'll just type the word and then it will make more sense to you. So initially, It was known as schizophrenia, was known as dementia precox. Okay. Now it was Emil Kraepelin. It was Emil Kraepelin who gave this concept that manic depressive illnesses and dementia precox are different things. Okay. So what does this give us? What hint does this give us when Kraepelin says that dementia precox and manic depressive illnesses are separate things? Any idea, any one of you? Anything? So what happens here, we basically get an idea from Emil Kraepelin's description that dementia precox and manic depressive illnesses are separate things. That means that he hints us towards the fact that there are two major divisions, neurosis and psychosis. Okay, from here we understand that there are two major divisions, neurosis and psychosis. Coming back to the PPT. Now, the mood disorders are classified into 5 to 6 major categories. Okay, a typical manic episode, depressive episode, bipolar mood affective disorder. A lot of news about bipolar disorders are news these days. Okay, so we'll clear the confusion about that as well. Recurrent depressive disorder, RDD, persistent mood disorder, other mood disorders. Okay, so what majorly you need to understand is what a typical manic episode is, what a depressive episode is, what are bipolar disorders, what is RDD, and the rest other two you can automatically make sense of it. Okay, once these basic concepts are clear. Okay, so are we good so far, guys? Are we making sense? Okay. Now, as we spoke a little while ago, that in the center are healthy individuals, those who stay in the euthymic mode. So on one end are individuals who suffer from depression, and on the other end are individuals who suffer from mania. So if we pick up the clinical features of mania, okay, the mood factor, okay, what is the current mood? That is a very, serious level of concern. As a clinician, you need to understand the differences between these four mentioned moods here so that you can understand what mood your client is going through. Okay. So before that, before we actually go to the moods and clinical things, this whole disorder tends to occur in episodic manner. Remember that. Mood disorders tend to occur in episodic manner. This is a very basic clarity, okay? Mood disorders tend to occur in episodic manners. So personality disorders are those which are ongoing, okay? Personality disorders do not occur in episodic manner. Mood disorders का basic tenure है 3 to 4 months, okay? Followed by a complete clinical recovery. 3 to 4 months followed by a complete clinical recovery. 3 to 4 months tenure followed by a complete clinical recovery. Now what happens is, you'll understand one thing, guys. Stay with me, okay? So first, if there's a mood episode and a client has come to you with the first episode of mood disorder, okay, be it mania or be it depression, if the client has come to you with the first episode of a mood disorder, so after MSc, हमें पता चला that the episode is for mania in nature. Okay, we can we can talk about, if we can tell the client that 3-4 months ka tenure will be there and things like that. But when there's a second episode, we do not know whether the second episode is going to be depression or mania. So do you understand? Once there is a episode of mood disorder, we build the future chances. There are the future chances of any of the either episodes to occur. Is this part clear? Once there is in the background one single episode, after that, what happens is we do not know, the uncertainty is there whether in case there's a second episode, is it going to be a mood, is it going to be mania, or is it going to be a depressive episode? Clear, everyone? Yeah, only one or two students are replying. Rest of you? Chalo.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so we'll discuss the clinical features of a manic episode. Okay. So we'll first discuss the mood. As you can see, number one, we'll discuss the psychomotor activity. We'll discuss about the speech and thought here. We'll discuss about the direction of the activities they undergo. And then we'll come to the depressive episode. Number one, we're going to talk about the mood of a typical manic patient, right? So elevated, expansive, or irritable. Now, what happens is the mood is usually very much elevated in nature. The euthymic zone you and I are in currently, okay, we respond according to the event. If the event is, something which brings us little joy, there would be little excitement in us, okay. If there's an event which brings us more joy, there will be great excitement in us. So we go in proportion to the event. So these individuals who undergo mania, there is a huge disproportion in the amount of their reaction to events. Sometimes there are neutral events and their reactions are very, very elevated, expansive in nature. Also, there is some amount of irritability there in their mood because of a huge level of grandiosity. Okay, is everyone familiar with the term grandiosity? I will type it in the chat box. So grandiosity is a huge, is a very elevated feeling. Okay, now this could be in the form of grandiose ideas, very huge, very big, out of proportion feelings. Okay, so grandiose ideas, grandiose thoughts, things like that. So their reaction is usually not proportionate to the event. The event could demand something else as an emotional reaction, but their reaction and their body language is different. So number A is euphoria. Okay. Now number A, which says mild elevation of mood, an increased sense of psychological well-being and happiness, not in keeping with the ongoing events. This is usually seen in hypomania. So once you write hypomania there, mark an asterisk because we'll talk about hypomania in one or two lines now. So euphoria is mild elevation. There is an increased sense of psychological well-being and happiness, which is not in line with whatever is going on in the individual's life. You might, as an outsider, find nothing so, so good about the situation that the individual is enjoying and so much happy about it. This typical euphoric mood is seen in the hypomania stage. Now, hypomania is somewhere between euthymic and mania. So we all know this, the scale now. Okay, how it goes? It goes probably from depression, okay, euthymic, then hypomania and mania. So if that is the thing to be followed, then hypomania is somewhere between euthymic and being manic. Okay. Now hypomania, although it increases the psychological well-being and happiness, it also increases the individual's ability, creativity, productivity, etc. The individual's overall functioning also is way better than the earlier situation of the individual. It is not a desirable state. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that in, because of the psychological well-being and happiness, they tend to become more functional, more productive, more creative in nature. Okay. Madhushri, do you have a question because your mic is on?
Tata.
Okay. So now after euphoric, we go to elation, moderate elevation of mood. A feeling of confidence and enjoyment along with an increased psychomotor activity. Elation is classically seen in mania. So in case you are asked about the difference between euphoria and elation, there are two major differences here. Okay. Number one, euphoria is classically seen in hypomania. Number two, same thing. Number one, elation is classically seen in mania. Number two, it is a state of euphoria is a state of psychological well-being and happiness. Elation is a state of very strong confidence and enjoyment, okay, along with increased psychomotor activity. So these are the two major differences in these stages. Now, all said and explained, what happens is once you get clients to see, these differences will become more and more clear. Because on papers, this is very clear. I'm telling you two differences. You might note it down. You can write your MCQs and even pass the interviews. What happens is when you see the clients, there are like thin line differences between these stages. Okay. So the more you see the clients, the more these things are going to get wired into your system and you'll understand better. Then comes exaltation, number C. Number C is exaltation, severe elevation of mood. Intense elation, the number B stage we discussed. Number B was what? Very strong feeling of confidence and enjoyment and increased psychomotor activity. So exaltation is intense elation with delusions of grandeur. Okay, now there are delusions of grandiosity here. There are delusions of grandiosity here. Okay, so delusions of grandiosity, I'll just elaborate a little here. Now, delusions are, firmly held beliefs. Okay, false beliefs which are very firmly held. So these delusions revolve around the theme of grandiosity. Grandiosity could be mission. Okay, suppose they'll tell you, for delusions of grandiosity, there are two, three themes. They'll tell you they are on a mission to save the earth, they're on the mission to save the country, or they'll tell you they have some powers. Okay, they have some powers, they can do this, they can do that, or regarding some huge amount of wealth and all. So delusions of grandiosity again, as I told you, elevated ideas and thoughts. Okay, and delusions are what? False belief which the client firmly believes in. So exaltation is a stage which is elation, number B we discussed, plus delusion of grandiosity. So it is severe elevation of mood. Okay, number D is ecstasy. Now, ecstasy में क्या है? There is intense sense of rapture or blissfulness. Okay, if I have to give you an example of ecstasy, I would say that individuals who typically consume psychomotor substances, if you have watched any movies or documentaries like that, okay, so you might have noticed that there's a very different sense of bliss they talk about. Okay, they talk about things which are out of those materialistic worldly concepts of owning things and possessing things. So they go to a different level of blissfulness, that is ecstasy. So we went from euphoria. Okay, we understood the difference between euphoria and elation. Once we know what is elation, we understood that exaltation is elation plus delusion of grandiosity, and then ecstasy at the end, which is the highest state of elevation of mood, very severe elevation of mood. So are we clear about the first part, the clinical features of mania? The first part, which is the mood in the clinical features of mania? Anyone whose connection is good, mic is they want to switch on the mic and answer or comment, they can.
Ma'am, I wanted to know
that the rapid cycling which happens,
Mm-hmm.
can it happen at any stage of this mania? Like at any stage of
Okay.
mania?
So rapid cycling, Anuja, usually happens in bipolar. Okay. Rapid cycling usually happens in this part. Number 3 part here in the slide, which is bipolar mood affective disorder. So rapid cycling may within days or weeks, within typical days or weeks, the mood can again shift from mania to depression, depression to mania. Fine. It doesn't happen in disorders which are single episode. Are we clear with this idea? Disorders which are single episode in nature.
Yes.
अभी अभी बताया ना मैंने कि first episode जब होगा उसका next will be depression or next will be mania. We do not know. Okay. Suppose it's opposite of whatever happened earlier. It goes into bipolar mood disorder. And in case it is recurrent depressive disorder. Okay. In case it's depression again, it goes into RDD, recurrent depressive disorders. You are talking about रैपिड साइक्लिंग ठीक है तो अब रैपिड साइक्लिंग में थिंग्स कैन चेंज थिंग्स like rapid cycling if I tell you 4 episodes per year, okay, if 4 or more than 4 episodes per year they qualify for rapid cycling in bipolar mood disorders. So we are in number 1 where we're talking about single manic episode, number 2 depressive episode, number 3 is bipolar. So rapid cycling may if the episodes change more than 4 per year. Other people can also note it down. This is a very nice MCQ question as well. So more than 4 episodes per year are rapid cyclers. Okay. Then there are something known as, since we are talking about this, then there is something known as ultra rapid cycling. Okay. So ultra rapid cycling, it changes in the matter, the mood changes in the matter of days or hours. That is ultra rapid cycling. So this all falls under bipolar mood affective disorder. Okay. Anything else, anyone? Anything should I repeat?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Anuja, are you clear here? ठीक है?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ,
Thank you.
thank you. So nobody will get confused. We are doing mania, we'll do depression, then we'll combine the two and we'll understand what is a bipolar disorder because it involves both the two, and then we'll easily understand what is RDD because it continuously involves depression. So that's how they've kept number 3 and 4 are arranged that way. Once you understand what is typically a manic episode is, once you understand what is typically a depressive episode is, we can clearly understand what is a bipolar disorder because bipolar disorder involves both the two. And then recurrent में एक ही है, depression repeat होगा. So coming back to what we were doing were the clinical features of mania. So we understood the elevated, expansive and irritable mood. Okay, we understood the categories and how in hierarchy this mood is increasing and going to the ecstasy, which is very severe level. Okay. Then we are talking about psychomotor activity. Now what happens is in mania is there's an overall increase in the psychomotor activity. The person seems on the toe, on the go. Okay, they are always moving. Now this is so much that you start noticing this in their behavior. There's a certain amount of rest we all require. There's a certain time in the day we are very active. Okay, there's a certain time in the day we are quite lazy and would want some rest, or we would just want the work to wind up. So typically people who are working in the 10 to 6 or 9 to 5 thing, okay, so we all have this thing, no, by somewhat towards the end of the work, 4 something, 3 something, the last 1 or 2 hours we tend to be a little lazy and all. Initially when in the morning we go to work, we we go to our own respective colleges and all, we are very active, we tend to, but after lunch, the activity level, the energy level dwindles down. Okay, so, but this is not the case with people individuals undergoing mania. They have a very overactive schedule. They, so much so that their overactivity can be compared to restlessness. Okay. Overactivity is fine if it is goal oriented again. So they have so much overactivity that they seem restless. They take up an activity, they might not complete it, they might take up another activity. So they keep on shuffling between multiple activities. They think they're capable of a lot of multitasking. Okay, they are shifting here to there. They're very restless. They're very, their whole activity is based on whatever environmental clues they are getting, whatever environmental cues or signals they are getting. So anything, which happens in the environment, they take up that and start doing that. They might not complete the previous activity, another signal, then another cue they get from the external environment, they will take up that. So likewise, they keep on shifting. Okay. So is the psychomotor activity part clear? We'll go ahead.
Yes.
Hmm. Then comes speech and thought. Okay. So ये सारी चीजें जो भी है यहाँ पे clinical features of mania में हमने mood देखा अभी तक. We understood the categories of mood. Okay. We understood the disturbance in psychomotor activity. Then we're talking about speech and thought. Now, as a clinical psychologist, you will require to do mental status examination very often now and then. Okay, so this is typically the speech and thought for mood disorders. So there would be a mood, there would be speech and thought for other disorders as well. So once you know the differences and you have read well, only then can you understand what the client, which pattern the client fits in. So speech and thought may very automatically we understand that the individual undergoing mania will be more talkative than usual. Okay, they have a lot going on in their mind, thoughts racing in their mind. They develop the pressure of speech. Okay, the speech is very pressured because of multiple things they want to speak. They use a lot of playful language, okay, with a lot of sarcasm, rhyming, joking, teasing, and they speak loudly than required. So this is the nature of speech. Please go through it again. I'm giving you time, 1 or 2 minutes. Go through it again. If there's any question, you can get back to me regarding the speech part now. So a lot of jokes, a lot of, trying to be very smart during the conversation. Fine, everybody. The speech part is clear. Chalo. Thanks. So now what happens? We are going to the thought part. Okay. So there's a term known as, for the thought specifically, there's a term known as flight of ideas, which is rapidly produced speech with abrupt shifts from one topic to another using external environmental cues. Typically, the connections between these shifts are apparent. Okay, so flight of ideas usually is this. Suppose you are sitting with the client in the clinical room. You want to do an MSc, and there are some things in the room. Okay, typically they're talking about how they reached the clinic and how they reached the hospital, whatever, and how someone accompanied them and brought them there, and then they will talk about because they'll talk about the clock over there, or they'll talk about the phone you are holding, or they talk about the watch you are wearing, or whatever the white lab coat you are wearing. Then they'll talk about from lab coat they'll shift to something else. So any clues they get, they'll keep on talking about it. Okay, so these shifts are very apparent. Okay, you might find very weak connections between these shifts if you have to make sense of their speech. Okay, then one term which we use for speech connections is coherence between speech. Okay, one term which we use for speech, if the speech has to be meaningful or not, is coherence. So usually this, there's less coherence between the less coherence in this speech. Okay, and when the flight of ideas becomes very severe, the speech is not at all coherent. We cannot understand anything from that speech. Fine, because they'll so quickly shift from here and there, here and there, and here and there. Then again, there's another term known as prolixity. Okay, now prolixity, what happens is prolixity is also known as ordered flight of ideas. I'll just type it in the chat box for you. Another clinical term for prolixity is ordered flight of ideas. Okay. Prolixity is ordered flight of ideas. So what happens is, usually, you know, you will get clients, you know, who speak things which are in the environment. They pick up clues from the environment. Okay, they pick up things which are you know, somewhere in the environment, and then they try to form a speech out of it. Mostly these speeches are very weak in their you cannot comprehend anything out of them. Okay, somehow there is a less severe form of flight of ideas which is known as prolixity, which is known as ordered flight of ideas. Which is known as ordered flight of ideas. Okay. Is it clear to everyone? Are you following the chat box? Okay. So, yeah, there is, ma'am, can you tell the difference between sign and symptom? Okay. So, Hridisha, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, Hridisha, what happens is, sign and symptom, if in medical terms we talk about it, sign is something which is very objective. Okay. Sign is from the angle of the clinician. Symptom is something which is objective, which is subjective in nature, and mostly, you know, it comes from the patient. Suppose we're telling, you know, we're telling we have a flu, and we're going and telling the things to the doctor. So what we complain, you know, that mostly falls in the category of symptom, was that what the clinician understand, they gather signs of this cluster of disorder. Okay. Harshita, could you give an example of prolixity? Okay. Example wise, prolixity, Harshita will have to have a content of speech from a client. Okay. I can make it more clear. What happens in prolixity is they might shift from topics, but they will still have a connection between them, a still weak connection. So the sense you make out, the sense which you can make out of a speech, which is has prolixity, is still better, because ordered flight, which is because that falls in the ordered flight of ideas. Okay. Yeah. So that is more sensible in nature, and you can still speak to them in for one topic, and you can ask to them, and still you will get an answer regarding that same topic from where they started speaking. But in flight of ideas, when the patient is having flight of ideas, we might find no connection, or very, you know, connections by chance. There could be no fixed connections, or just by chance connections. Otherwise this you cannot comprehend anything out of this speech. Okay, that is the difference. Tenzing, is that clear? Because I sort of explained that again. Yeah. Okay. going ahead. So we spoke about delusions. Okay, delusions are beliefs, false beliefs, which are very firmly held. Okay, so there can be delusions of ideas. Now, what happens, guys? Do not always look for delusions. Okay, now in order to qualify for delusions, there are 5 categories. The content of speech, whatever they're telling you, know that I think, not I think, they'll tell you content of speech kaisa hoga delusion ke liye, that they'll tell you ki I am so and so God's son or so and so God's daughter, and I've come to save the world from this and this problem the world is going to face. Okay, so now always look for certain markers of delusion. Okay, so we'll not do it in today's class. There are certain markers of delusion. Okay, there are 5 markers of delusion. You can pose this question later if you do not find the answer to the UIBS website. Okay, because if I start teaching that, it will take the whole class away. Okay, so what happens is, and some things do not always qualify for delusions. Okay, some remain in the idea level as well. क्या होता है, if there is a delusion, you cannot shake that belief. Okay, you cannot counter argue that belief. Once the belief is counter argued and the client says, yeah, probably I'm just a normal person, I'm not I'm not sent by God to for this mission to save earth and all, probably I think I'm a normal person. So if they shift to this level, okay, and they say no, but other times I think I'm sent by God or something like that. So if they keep on shaking and shifting, it comes down to the level of ideas rather than delusion. So delusion is the highest level where a false belief is very firmly held. Okay, and it occupies all the areas of the individual's life. It colors all the perspectives of the individual. Okay, but idea is somewhat a little lesser in intensity. Ideas can still be challenged, delusions cannot be challenged. Okay, so do not always very strictly look for delusions. Okay, the client can still be in the zone of developing it from ideas to delusion, or might not have developed it fully. So we can also find ideas of grandiosity or delusions of grandiosity. Do not just stick to the fact that you will look for delusion of grandiosity in a manic client. Okay, so there can be delusions of grandiosity or ideas of grandiosity with markedly inflated self-esteem without any reason. Okay, there has been no reason, no obvious reason for such inflated self-esteem. Okay, is this part clear, guys? The first pointer on the screen. The difference between delusions and ideas. Are we clear about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So see, these are the basics you will have to understand. Again, we take another basic class for before we begin is you have to understand what are delusions. Okay, what are the criteria? How do you fulfill? How do you say that if I give you a content the client has told, how do you say whether this is ideas or delusions? Okay, what qualifies for a delusion, what doesn't? So ये सारी basics भी होते हैं. Okay, ठीक है, सीख पढ़ते पढ़ते you will all understand, you will get it. And these are again questions for your MCQs and interviews in MPhil. Okay, these are the basics. They do not want to know about very much about antipsychotics kya hai, first generation antipsychotics kya hai. They'll not go after that. They'll ask you these basics only. If you say that you have read these and you've interned here and there, because people usually have this trend that you will attach a lot of internships, appreciation letters and all, and then you'll fill up the form. Okay, so once you take up that, and once you yourself accept that you have been through a lot of internships and supervised trainings, and then you can't answer the basics. Okay, so that is when things do not go in the same line. Okay, so अगर जो भी mention करते हो उस चीज इन चीजों के basics clear रखो. Questions arise when you do not answer the basics. Questions do not arise when you cannot answer theories and all. Okay. So coming back, हमें delusions and ideas का difference पता चल गया है. ठीक है. Later, if we have time, we'll speak more on that, because defining delusions and qualifying the criteria and all requires another 1 hour to make that understand. Okay. Then comes delusions of persecution they might have. Now these delusions of persecution are what? Paranoid delusions. Okay, paranoid delusions. Delusions of grandiosity तो हमें पता है typical hallmark है mania का. अब delusions of persecution क्या है? These are paranoid thoughts that people are after them or people are going to kill them or they are in danger because they are so great. Because because of the delusions of grandiosity, they develop a secondary delusion. Primary delusion is the delusion of grandiosity. Secondary delusion is the delusion of persecution involving paranoid thoughts. ये क्यों डेवलप होता है? क्योंकि they think that they are so great, so important, so wealthy or so resourceful that people might plot against them or people might be after their lives or people might be jealous because of they're so much successful in life. Now this whole successful and resourceful and being very on the top, this is all part of the delusion of grandiosity. Okay, so primary delusion वो है, उसके against they are developing this delusion of persecution. Okay, Ranjit. So what happens is, now if we talk about a client's content, a content of speech they told us, okay? So the content of speech is, they're talking about the fact that they have powers and they can change the weather. I have so much, pay attention, okay? I have so much power that I can change the weather in minutes and seconds. That's why it started raining in the morning and all. So you talk to them for a few minutes and you tell them, no, it started raining in the morning because it was very cloudy. That's why it started raining. And then the sun came out because it all became very clear by the afternoon. Okay. So they say probably they after you repeat it for a couple of times, they'll be like, yeah, you are right. Probably there were clouds in the morning. It's not because of me. So in case they agree, in case you can challenge their belief, okay, it somewhere falls in the idea level. It falls in the idea level. It doesn't fall in the delusion level. To qualify for a delusion, the belief has to be unshakable in nature. Unshakable and coloring all the aspects of the individual's life. That's what we're talking about. You might find ideas of grandiosity. So do not forcefully make the content of speech, whatever you get, make it into delusion. Understand, read the content and then, give a statement whether it is delusion or idea in nature. Is it clear, Ranji? Okay. So is this also clear, guys, that delusion of grandiosity is the primary delusion and all other delusions, typically delusion of persecution, which is in brackets, understand other paranoid things, okay? So these develop secondary to the delusion of grandiosity. ये वाला part भी clear है सबको? Delusion of persecution वाला part? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming back to this one slide again. Okay. So hallucinations, delusions wala part is clear, okay? I understand you might require more clarity on what are the criteria, how to fulfill a delusion, when it is not a delusion and not. Okay, that's another another class topic. This is not under this, okay? So hallucinations are what? Okay, what are illusions, anyone? Illusions are misinterpretation of the stimuli. This is a very common question in MCQ, okay? Be very clear. See, all of this is basics. You all are almost masters, final year of masters or past masters or whatever. Basic, everyone knows. You just have to make your basics sharp again, okay? So illusions kya hai? Illusion is misinterpretation of the stimuli. Hallucination is that when there is no stimuli, okay? There is no stimuli in hallucination. So hallucination can be both auditory and visual in nature. There are other hallucinations also, tactile and all, okay? So coming to basics, they can be both auditory and visual, okay? So we see and hear when we see things which are not there, not that we are misinterpreting things. No, we see things which do not exist and we hear voices which are not there, okay? So that is hallucination. When you misinterpret, you could misinterpret a rope for a snake. That is illusion, okay? So hallucination is both auditory and visual in nature, which mostly, what happens in the mania picture, I'm telling you, and especially in this Asian belt, Asian country belts, what happens in the mania picture is a lot of religious content is there in hallucinations also. So once there is a delusion of grandiosity that, God said, send me to do this, this, and this, God has sent me to do this, this, and this. The hallucination would be, I spoke to God this morning. After I took a bath, I went to the garden and I spoke to God in the morning. He came to speak to me. Okay. So these are usually interrelated. The whole system, the false belief system is interrelated in nature. Got it, everyone? I'm trying to build up the connection, guys. Are you getting the connections? Okay. So what happens, Divyani? Why are illusions occurring? If you're asking me, you're asking about illusions. Are you sure not about hallucinations here?
No, ma'am. Like,
Acha, acha.
I want to know, like, if there could be any psychological factors
Yeah,
that
yeah,
contribute.
yeah. Yes, and one of the major factors, which I can talk about right now is a mental set. Okay, mental set, there's a thing known as mental set in cognitive psychology. If you read about it, what happens is we have this mental set that, things are going to be like that. We are not so open to see new things in that perspective. Okay, so this interferes with our thinking as well as with our visual system. Okay, that is another thing. Number two, if I talk about the clinical aspect, the more we are in the phobic situation, okay, the more we see such, we may misinterpret information in those lights. Okay, so these are the two reasons right now I can recall which can qualify for why do we have illusions. एक हमारा mental set ही वैसा बन गया है that if things are spiral and long in nature, it's going to be a snake. Okay, and again, number two, if we have certain danger, fears, and all, so that comes up and we automatically visualize those things and misinterpret that information. Okay, are we clear, Devyani?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tenzing has a question. How is delusion different from hallucination? Okay. So what happens is, Tenzing, delusion is a belief. It is in the thought process. Hallucination interferes with our sensory system. It interferes with our visual and auditory typically. समझ आया? Delusion is a false, firmly held, false, unshakable belief out of keeping with the person's socio-cultural and educational background. Okay, delusion is a false, unshakable belief out of keeping with the person's social and educational background. Fine. Matlab, I am holding a belief which doesn't fit into the social and educational thing I have in my background. This is a belief system. I believe that, I have delusion of persecution. I believe that my neighbor is going to kill me. I have a delusion of grandiosity. I believe that I am very rich. I'm the richest person in the world. Okay, so these are very firmly held beliefs which cannot be shaked, you cannot change these beliefs without psychological or psychiatric treatment. Hallucinations are what hallucinations are what happens when it interferes with our sensory system. There is no stimuli, but we get to see stimuli. There is no stimuli, but we get to hear something. Okay, these are hallucinations in nature. Is this much clear to everyone? Okay. Yeah. So Anuja, we can go into discussing pseudo hallucinations and all, but then that has to be a different topic altogether. Okay. One is in the subjective state, one is in the objective state. Okay. So there are differences. There are 5 to 6 pointer differences between hallucination, pseudo hallucination, and one thing more. Okay. That occupies a very different level of the whole topic. That should be one more level basic according to the class what we are doing. Okay. You can post in your queries and book a session or do like that, or if we have another demo class, we'll try to go to one more level down, one more basic level. Okay, उस तरीके से भी कर सकते हैं. So hallucinations का clear है यहाँ तक? Are we together in the same page, everyone? ठीक है, आगे चलते हैं. थोड़ा सा will cover and then I'll give you an probably 5 more minutes will cover, this slide will cover, and then we'll give you, take your queries, okay, what individual queries you have regarding MPhil, any doubts, and I'll give you an insight into what we do. Chalo. So Okay. अब ये जो है delusions and hallucinations, this typically qualify for psychotic features, है ना? So these are psychotic features. Mood related features हमने क्या देखा? Typically mood related features हमने changes in the expressive mood, okay, psychomotor activity, speech में देखा, thought में देखा. Delusions and hallucinations are typical hallmark of psychotic features, but they are incongruent. They are in line with the mood state, elevated mood state of the individual. That is why they are known as, in case of mood disorders, simply mark it with asterisks, okay guys, do not get carried away for other disorders. When psychotic features are occurring in the mood disorders, okay, when psychotic features, the classic hallmark psychotic features are delusions and hallucinations. So these classic hallmark features, when they are occurring in mood disorders, they are known as mood congruent psychotic features. They are in line with the mood. They are known as mood congruent psychotic features. Then, if you have to talk about other clinical features, distractibility is a very common feature which results in rapid changes in speech and activity. Okay, they even respond to irrelevant stimuli which doesn't even need attention. Okay, so by now you already are forming a picture of a typical mania client, everyone. Then if we talk about the nature of the activity in hypomania, as we have already discussed, the client becomes more productive in nature and creative. Okay, in mania there's marked increased in activity, okay, with excessive planning and execution of multiple activities together. Hypomania is still better if you have to compare. Both of them are not desired, okay, both of them are not desired states for anyone. But if you still have to compare, hypomania is still productive because you take up the planning is better. In mania there is, since a lot of grandiosity involves, is huge planning and multiple tasks are undertaken together. So due to being involved in so many activities and high level of distractibility in the client, there's often a decrease in the functionality in later stages. There's marked increase in sociability, even the previously unknown people. Okay, you start, people in mania start, visiting people, meeting people, just getting interfering in everyone's lives and not, not seeing, not maintaining boundaries with people they are talking to, like that. Okay, so gradually this leads to an interfering behavior, though the person does not recognize it. There's low level of insight. Insight बहुत कम है. So the client in hand doesn't realize that they are interfering so much with the other people's life and interfering to the level that they are talking and indulging with unknown people, strangers as well. So this is the level of nature of the goal-directedness of their activities. Now, because of the grandiose ideation, the whole is inflated, excessive inflated self-esteem, increased sociability, overactivity, and poor judgment. The manic individual is often involved in high-risk activities, buying sprees. They tend to do a lot of shopping and gifting here and there, okay? Reckless driving, foolish business investments, and distributing money or personal articles to unknown people. Okay, now these people are usually dressed up in a very gaudy and flamboyant manner, okay, flaunting a lot of brands and all. Although in severe mania, there may be poor self-care associated. Okay, so this is the typical picture of a manic individual. I'll just run through these slides again. We started here, we understood the difference between affect and mood, okay? How this, as clinicians, we need to make this very clear because, we need to understand always the mood and affect might not go together. There might be slight differences, okay? We need to identify, take them into consideration while planning the treatment. We understood here, we also spoke about Hippocrates and Emil Kraepelin. We understood the history, how we went back, and we understood that there's a difference between dementia praecox and manic depressive illnesses. We got to know about this major classification. Here we also spoke about rapid and ultra rapid of bipolar mood disorders. There's a clarification between these four very clear now, I assume, to everyone. We spoke about psychomotor activity, speech and thought, flight of ideas, ordered flight of ideas, which is prolixity. We got to know the difference between delusions and ideas, then delusions and hallucinations also for somebody, okay? Then delusions of persecutions are primary, hallucinations could be majorly in two natures. These are known as the mood congruent psychotic features, since delusions and hallucinations are classic psychotic features. Then distractibility is a very important component. The goal-directedness of activity somehow is better in hypomania, very, spoiled and deteriorated in the later stages of mania, as none of the tasks undertaken are completed properly, the functionality decreases. Sociability and indulging in strangers and these kind of behaviors are also talked about. Then we spoke about, because of grandiose ideas, poor insight, increased sociability and overactivity, they do many major mistakes, which is buying sprees and reckless drivings, involving in foolish business investments here and there, and they're distributing articles to unknown people. Their dressing sense is also very flamboyant and grandiose and very colorful in nature. So it's now based on this information, it will be very easy for you to at least work with the clients and identify and at least diagnose them. Okay. So as I said, the time doesn't allow us to go more than these. Yes, Nandini, psychotic features can accompany depression very well. There is in major depression, there are usually one or two psychotic features. Okay, in major depression, if you read, there are usually one or two psychotic features. Okay, so now what I'll do is, any queries any one of you have? Okay, so you guys got a Ridisha, we take up the whole of the net syllabus. ठीक है, वो सारा पढ़ाया ही जाता है. Plus all what is required for MPhil is taught. All what is required for the MPhil entrance, everything is taught. Okay, be it therapy, be it psychological assessments, be it all the other disorders. Okay, right now I'm teaching, right now the ongoing batch, they are doing neurocognitive disorders. Okay, I completed OCD with them, I completed substance disorder with them. So we take up all what is necessary for your MPhil entrances. So we also teach general psychology. So general psychology, so you will get an insight into it very well. वो सब होगा, plus a very good insight into all the clinical things important for MPhil entrances. Okay. Yeah. So now that you guys saw, this is the typical format of a class we are going to have. People who can come offline post the whole COVID situation is normal can join offline. Those who cannot can join online simultaneously. At the same time, classes are made live. Okay, so you can join. Plus, your questions will also be taken, as you saw just now. I took the questions, so you will also be, you can also speak, and your questions will be heard. The questions asked in this class, in the students sitting with me. These questions can also be, this you can also hear these questions. Okay, I keep my mic on so that and I give them the mic to ask, so that it becomes interactive between both the groups studying simultaneously. Screens mein aapko PPT dikhega. You will see the PPT on the screen. Okay, and the classes are recorded. So you can, if you missed out a point, if you missed out a whole lecture, if you are trying to make your own notes or clarifying a topic, you can go back and read that again. Okay, so you get an access to all the recordings, all the classes. Then you get a lot of resource material. Okay, you get an access to a e-library. Then you also get an access, so you get all your learning material couriered to your address, your residential address, which you provide, and these are updated every now and then. So in case you missed an update on the writing material, it will again be couriered to you. It will again be sent to you via your soft copies, via PDFs. Okay, then MPhil ke liye specifically we have this provision where we prepare you for interviews. Okay, so if you're appearing, any one of you, even if there's one student who's appearing for any one entrance and they cleared it, so in the middle, if there are 2 to 3 days, we'll have a special session for you where we accommodate all the queries. We prepare you for the interviews, and all other students are also can join that session. So either you can keep it for one student and then others can also join. Harshita, MPhil and NET classes, some of the topics are same, some of the topics are separate. Okay, so topic wise, sometimes you guys do it together, sometimes it is separate. So topics which are not required for them, that they do not attend. Topics which you, if you opt for the MPhil course and not for the net one, then the topics like unit 1 for MPhil and unit last unit, I guess, that is not required for MPhil students. So वो net वाला जब classes होगा, then you guys I suppose do not enter those classes. Nimhan's special classes we can arrange if you want, that you can talk to the number you just got registered through. June, free fee structure and all, again in the same number you need to ask, because these are admin related questions, so they'll solve it properly. Again, you can go to the website. Everything is provided there in the website. In case you missed out and you want more clarity, you can call up on that number again. Okay, they'll be happy to answer all your queries. Any queries you guys have in preparation for MPhil, anything you guys want? Classes are held 4 to 5 times a week. Now depends on the course you have selected. Okay, if you have selected MPhil, probably out of the 4 or 5, you have 3 classes to attend. Rest 2 are for a paper 1 for net. So that's not for you then. Okay. So minimum 3 classes to आपके लिए होगा ही, whichever course you select. Minimum of 3 classes. There are 5 to 6, as I said, you depending on the thing you have selected for yourself. Timing is usually 4 to 6 or 5 to 7. It's either 4 to 6 or 5 to 7. Because some of them are working, some of them, they want it towards the later half because they don't want morning classes. They have other things to do. Some of them are still in the final year, that ways. Okay, Tenzing, you you might have attended any other webinars for us. जो भी webinar हम conduct करते हैं. So always I've said one thing, okay, that it all depends on how much clarity you do with the basics. I said that today itself again. Okay, how much you clear the basics. Okay, some basics of clinical psychology and psychiatry are required. If you're reading a disorder, make sure you read about the psychological aspects of that disorder. Do not miss out on. Suppose you're reading OCD, read about it properly. Okay. CIP and yeah, जो भी आप पढ़ रहे हो, make sure you know the basics. You cannot skip books like Morgan and King, Atkinson. Start with NCRT. Okay, make a chart of what are the topics covered in this typical unit, and make sure you've read about everyone. Make sure you've read about some major eminent psychologists and their contribution. You know about the textbooks. You know about the latest journals, their names. So likewise, you can prepare. Nandini, if you join now, in case, okay, so you get 6 months, you get to attend classes for 6 months, and you get the recording for 1 year. So till next September, as sir is typing the information, you get till next September, you get access to the classes. Ridisha, there are no MCQ books for MPhil. We prepare all the mock tests ourselves. We personally prepare it. We go by them. Okay. We update them. So it's all based from the books and articles, journals we read. So there are no books, no MCQ books for MPhil. Sadly, but there are no. Yeah, as sir is saying, you can also extend, if you want that, you require more, or some other important entrance is coming by the time your course fee is getting over. So aisa kuch bhi nahi hai, don't worry about it. You can always be extended with some nominal fee, because you again get access to the live classes by paying that. So don't worry, get worried about it. What happens is, basically, very honestly, I tell you, 3 to 4 months of attending the classes is enough for you. Okay, we still give you 6 months because sometimes you have some exams from the college, somebody has some personal reasons. So 6 months plus minus, you can always comfortably finish your course. Okay, any other query, anyone, anything about how we do it, what happens? Morgan and King, Atkinson, you can read. Cicely, you have to read good articles about the basics of psychiatry. Okay, these things you cannot miss out on. If you're starting after a gap, I would always recommend start with the NCERT 11th and 12th textbook. That you have to make a base if there's a gap in your studies, okay? Which is usually the case that happens with most of us. And for other videos and informative videos and topics and all, you can also visit our YouTube channel. We keep on regular basis. We keep on uploading. So there are other videos also. आप उसको देख के भी काफी चीजें पता लग सकती हैं. Tenzing I can, but it doesn't again suffice the time and the topic currently. Okay, so you can just drop the query in the website that you want to understand this topic and all. We'll see if we can arrange another webinar or thing for that. Okay, we'll be glad to do that. Yeah, another is Atkinson and Hilton. Yeah, another book is Atkinson and Hilkar. Morgan and King is done. Then Atkinson and Hilkar. So once what I'll say, all of you go through the website. Okay, you will get a lot of information. In case you do not understand anything, you can call on the number you got registered through. Not necessarily you don't have to know it, but then yeah, if you have your master's notes and all, just go through them once. I wouldn't say a very big no, but yes, you don't require it. फिर भी if you think you don't want to miss out on that, just flip through them once. Just flip through. You don't have to read them thoroughly. Otherwise, there are no such questions as far as I have seen. Social psychology, however, is very important. You can call on this mentioned number, okay? The number is mentioned on the chat box. So sir has provided a lot of links. Go through these links, okay? I would have gladly explained Tenzing, but then you understand that will take over the discussion to some different zone, okay? So drop in your queries. We'll see if there are common queries. We can organize a webinar for that. Okay, any more query, guys? Anything else? Any questions regarding the topic we discussed today? Not let it be about the things that you can always call at the number or visit the website. Anything about the topic? No? Can we wind up then, guys? I'll be happy to take up queries. Anyone, anything.